Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Buongiorno everybody, Saratoga Today, day 17 of the meet with Past the Wire, John Stetton. Thank you to Spendthrift Farm, Amwager, Zilla Racing Stables for helping to make these shows possible. And exciting racing day today with 3 stakes. I think 2 or 3 other races that could be stakes. Tomorrow is Whitney Day. Already started that work. That's going to be a killer day with some really big races. And Sunday looks pretty good too. So exciting 3 days of racing coming up. Before we get to today's card, let's recap a little yesterday. I think it's important. The bounce, okay? Of course, the way my meet's been going, we could have put Robertino Diodoro's horse right in the winner's circle when I talked about the bounce, but don't be so fast to do that, and I'll tell you why, all right? Until we look at what the numbers come back, the horse very easily could have regressed and won, and could be one of those rare cases where he just didn't regress off that big race. I'm pretty sure he did and ran a slower figure, but Moretti didn't go forward like I anticipated he would. He went to the lead, which I normally like, and I'm not making excuses. It's just, you know, the way my meet's been going, the bounce theory is going to be right 97 out of 100 times. There's going to be 3 times where it's wrong. Of course, the way my meet's going, it was one of those 3. Somebody said on social media last night, "Oh, I'm having such a terrible meet. I'm like 4 out of 5 in the pick 5." I said, I'd be happy with 4 out of 5. I feel like I could go 0 for 5 on some of these days. Just been a little cold, a little off, but, you know, knowing how to bet, when to bet, and taking your shots, easy to erase that. Hope a lot of you are hotter than I have been of late in this meet, but we got a long way to go. So we talked about a lot of angles this meet. You know, riders, trainers, different things, bounce, betting horses off bad form that, you know, bad races that come back and win. Yesterday we saw an example of something else in the first race at Saratoga, a hanger-on. You know, we all know Johnny V and Todd go way back, very, very tight. It was a very strong relationship at one time, and Johnny was a big-time first call rider for them, and you know, for Todd Pletcher, and they won a zillion races at this meet over the years. Johnny's been a little bit cold. We know that. We talked about how riders respond to that. Yesterday in the first, we saw what we call around here a hanger-on. Todd put Johnny on a hanger-on, where basically I could have rode the horse. You just really got to hang on, and he'll get you to the wire, or she'll get you to the wire. And that's what we saw in the first race yesterday. No price, 3 to 5. Hanger-ons usually aren't, but they generally win the way that one did, where the rider can just basically hang on, and you know you're going to get home. And sometimes it's a nice boost of confidence. Get you in the winner's circle, get you feeling good. We'll see how that plays out for Johnny, and if he heats up, getting a little deep into the meet. So stay tuned. We'll see. You know, couple of really, really interesting races today. I think you know, the third race has some nice prospects in it. The fourth race might be a stake. You know. Endorsed is in for $100,000 claim, which I was a little surprised at. You know, I thought that horse was going to be a nice horse at one point, and I liked him in a couple of tough spots. Last time he made what I would consider a premature move. Johnny's got him from the inside today. I don't necessarily like him in here. I like a couple of other horses a lot more than him. I think Jalen Journey is going to be very tough from the rail on the lead, and I think Wicked Trick on the outside is also very tough and might even be my top choice in here. Answer In, Cox's horse is going to be the favorite of that big win last time. I like Jalen Journey and Wicked Trick a little better than him, but that race could conceivably be a minor stake, and would be on other cards. The sixth race, which I thought was very competitive, Uh, it could also be a stake, no question. You got a couple of horses coming back. One horse that caught my eye a little bit was 40 under, making the second start for Maker. Looks like he's going to go forward. Tyler Gaffleone making the most of his opportunities. We know he's a really strong finisher. But you got some classy horses coming back, like No Word, even More Ready, who's got speed. There's a lot of horses in there with a shot. But I thought 40 under was a little bit interesting to me, the way I look at a race for a horse to go forward. But there's another horse in there that I think we've talked about on some of my shows. I don't think it was at Saratoga, but City Man is an interesting horse to me. I had Dean Reeves on our show, who owns Reeves Thoroughbreds, Mucho Macho Man fame, for a pretty in-depth interview. And one of the horses we talked about was City Man. And I had asked him a question. I said, he's got to be one of the higher regarded horses in your barn. He always looks to me like he's sitting on a big race and just kind of doesn't deliver it. And he said, Christophe Clement says the same thing. I say the same thing. We're waiting for that breakthrough race for him, and we may see it this weekend. Now, that weekend he ran, I think, in a grade 1. Well, let me look exactly where he ran, because he ran really bad, but it was in a little bit of a tough spot, to say the least. It was the grade 1 Manhattan. He was 9th by 12 at 20-1 to Domestic Spending, who's probably the best turf horse in the U.S. right now, male turf horse in the U.S., or certainly in the conversation. But City Man didn't run a step that day. Regroups, that was June 5th, so he's been off a while. And I know Rosario's been working him in the morning. So I find that a little bit interesting. Maybe we finally see that big breakthrough race from City Man. I don't know. I think it's overdue. It's getting close to the point where, it's time to, put up or shut up with him. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I think he's still got a chance to prove himself. And he's a nice horse just the same, but he's never come through with that big breakthrough race that I thought he had in him, and apparently Clement thought he had in him, and Dean Reeves thought he had in him. And you can check out that interview. It's on Past the Wire TV. Dean's a great guy, knowledgeable, good for the game, good owner. Enjoyed talking to him immensely. Next race, Hall of Fame, Grade 2. And interesting, I'm in the Hall of Fame. A couple of years ago, they were selling these bricks with your name on it. I don't know if you had to buy them or they were donations or something, but I definitely donated or bought it, and my name, P6K, Past the Wire, is in the Hall of Fame on one of those bricks somewhere. Haven't got a chance to see it because last year was the pandemic and I didn't go up this year, and it was right before that I did it. But we'll get in the Hall of Fame any way we can, even if it's buying our way in or bribing our way in or getting a brick with our name on it. But we're in the Hall of Fame, Immortality in Saratoga Springs. And I will get up there to see it, God willing. The race today, I think Public Sector is going to be very, very difficult to beat. I think he'll turn the tables on Original. They went 50 to the half in that race, which really almost made winning for Annex, the one who comes back in this spot, Bill Mott's horse, and Public Sector virtually impossible. Public Sector took the overland route. He was probably closer to the dirt course at Belmont than the inside rail. Went really, really wide, was ridden a little bit, I don't want to say overconfidently, but ridden confidently by Pratt, who let the horse finish really good, was kicked away from Annex, who couldn't keep up with him, was running at Original at the end of the race. And there seems to be, and I say seems to be because we know these Saratoga races and these Naira races on the turf, the pace just never goes early. But this one's a mile. Looks to be more pace for Original to have to deal with, although one of the pace horses that Rosario rides, Ranger Fox, is from the same barn, so whether he goes or whether one scratches or whether one or the other one goes, we don't know. But you've got some other pace in there as well with Next and Wolfie's Dyna Ghost, who should at some point make a little noise before they hit the 16th pole, you would think. And I think Public Sector and Flavien Prat coming into riding are going to be a handful of racehorse to beat today. That said, there is another horse in there that I think is dangerous and could be as good as Public Sector, lightly raced, and that moving up type of horse that I look for is Easy Time. I think we have not seen his best, can definitely go forward. His 2 wins are on the synthetic, hadn't won on the grass yet, but he did run good on the grass back at Gulfstream during the championship meet, or the so-called championship meet. And that's a tough meet. There's a lot of good horses there. The grass racing is pretty good that time of year at Gulfstream Park. That's my home track now, so I go there, not as much as I used to, but the racing there in the winter, January, February, late December, early March, is pretty good racing. And those were the 2 in there that I thought were the ones to beat. The next race, the restricted Alidar, I thought was a wide open race. A lot of different options. Jesus Team, who's somewhat of an overachiever, is in there. Art Collector comes back. Now in the Bill Mott barn. I think Thomas Drury did a good job with him. Never kind of fulfilled that potential that he had, and that promise that he showed, and that hype that he generated. But comes back in an interesting spot. Gets Luis Saez, who doesn't ride a heck of a lot for Bill Mott, but I'm going to say I would be of the opinion he's got to prove it to me on the racetrack at this point. Like I said, this is not the best field, so it's a little bit of a relief from some of the fields he's faced, I think. But these are older horses now, and I'm not so sure about him. I thought Prioritize was a good example of something that I call hidden or sneaky form, or just not the obvious. He comes back off a layoff from October when he ran in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup, and before that the Grade 1 Woodward. So he was on his game, and running in the best races on the East Coast. Didn't win them, but didn't get disgraced either. Comes back off the layoff in the Pimlico Special. Now has to run without Lasix in those races. May take a little to getting used to for that. But didn't really run that well in the Pimlico Special. Kind of looked to me like he passed tired horses. He lagged and then he closed under Rosario. But, the Pimlico Special off that layoff was not something that this horse ever showed the ability to be able to do. Then he comes back into Suburban in a complete washout, sloppy race that Max Player won. Okay, I could draw a line through that easy. So now he's third off the layoff. Moving right along, little technical glitch there. I hope that wasn't too bad, but like I said, I thought that was perfect for him. So he's a horse at a price that I thought was really, really live. And there was actually a really long shot horse in there, Limonite, who's 20-1 on the morning line, that Rosario rides. That's another one coming off a drubbing. And we talked about, getting a big price on horses coming off a bad race if you can draw a line through it. Well, this horse moves to Gustavo Rodriguez, that's Rudy's brother, off a very bad race in the slop at Belmont, but has some races in his resume, that can make him competitive here. And he's a big price horse, and I don't think Joel and Ron Anderson would take the call if he didn't have a chance, or they didn't think he had a chance. So we'll see what happens with him. Interesting. The Turf Sprint, the Troy, the Grade 3, I thought was ultra competitive. Ultra competitive. A lot of options there. A lot of different ways to go. A lot of speed, which you usually get in these 5.5 or 5 furlong or all these turf sprints, but especially the 5 and 5.5 turf sprints. You just get blazing pace. Interesting. Imprimis can surely win. Wouldn't be my top choice today, but that's the horse that sparked somewhat of a debate, but it's been an ongoing debate about Lasix and the older horses being forced to run in the stakes without Lasix. Joe Orsino was very vocal when this horse got beat last time out, that he bled and was forced to run without Lasix. Freshened him up since then. He did run a good race despite the bleeding, just got beat, but freshened him up since then. Comes back now, and obviously will be one of the favorites in here. But it's a tough race. Lazuli comes in for Charlie Appleby. We've talked about Charlie on some of our other shows and how deadly he has been the past 2 years across the Atlantic, in Europe, France, Ireland, England. The guy is absolutely deadly. Came here into 2 grass stakes, ran 1-2 twice in a row with those 2 really nice Godolphin fillies. This guy means business and comes to run, no doubt about it. Interesting Euro, this one's only run straight. And now they come here and they don't get that edge of getting on Lasix that they used to get. Now they come and they've got to run without Lasix like they do over there. But still, they train up over there, uphill, downhill, over the river, through the meadows, and all of that kind of stuff. So, those are really nice horses, and they come to run. There were 2 long shots in there. Front Run the Fed, I think, is a good turf sprinter, even though Chad Brown was willing to sell him. And Gear Jockey, who I think will be really overlooked, is another live long shot. But ton of different ways to go in there. I think tomorrow is the day we're going to zero in on a couple of others on Whitney Day, where I'm going to step out. But those are some of my opinions today. Now, in the last race, I thought it was interesting, and how I would approach it is this way. Digital Solution, who was obviously dropped by Chad, claimed, didn't win the race, claimed, and the claim was voided. So now Chad's got the horse back, and instead of running for 50, runs back for 40, and probably going to be a very heavy favorite, and absolutely can win the race. But another horse kind of caught my eye in there, and it's a maiden 40 race, so we know there's not a lot in there. And we talked about in the past, and I've got written articles on this. These guys looking to get off the donut. We know Junior Alvarado has been struggling a little bit. He rides Ken McPeek's horse. Now Ken's only run 4 horses maybe. Hasn't won yet. Runs Swiss Skydiver tomorrow into Whitney against the boys. He'd love to win one before that and go in on a little bit of an up note. This is a horse that runs first time on the turf, but he's a more than ready out of a turf family on the bottom. So to me, he's bred all turf. Drops from maiden special to maiden claiming, puts blinkers on. And if you look on the dirt, this horse ran 3rd by 11 going long, first time out to Caddo River, who would trounce these on any surface probably. Doesn't have a lot to beat. Laid off from January to June, comes back in what's already proven to be a key race, slow early, steady, there's the comment, really never got involved, but that was only going 6.5 at Churchill. Today's going a mile on the 16th on the grass at Saratoga for the first time. So I thought he was a real interesting horse to close out the card and maybe get home and beat a very, very heavy favorite in Chad's horse. So with that said, enjoy the races. We will be back tomorrow talking about those really, really good stakes on the card. Couple of spots I will step out on tomorrow, I believe. And I am due to turn it around, so hopefully you guys will watch and gals will watch and root me on, especially if we decide to go for major wager number 2, which I'm looking to do it. I'm not going to push it or force it, especially on a meet that's been going like this for me, but I'm looking to fire a shot and turn this thing around. So hopefully I can find it tomorrow without forcing it. That said, again, ciao for now. Enjoy the races, and we will reconvene for the Whitney probably a little earlier than today, because there'll be some interesting stakes to discuss. And go get them, everybody. Nobody does it better.